Hello, BookTube. I have a massive manga haul for you today. Last week was my birthday, and to celebrate, I indulged myself with several orders for manga from Pals and Barnes& and Noble. I also did do a monthly pre-order for forthcoming manga releases in the series that I follow with Book People. So today, two of my orders came in. One from Pals, which was immense. I waffled 2 weeks ago on whether to wait and do my Pals order on my birthday or the week before when I got paid. And 20% off sale from Pals decided the question for the week before. So I took advantage of that sale and indulged in quite a large manga order. That order came in today. Also on my birthday, I again indulged and put in a second order with Pals. That order has not come in yet. It should come in either later this week or early next week. But in addition to a second order with Pals, I put in an order with Barnes & Noble for 6 volumes of manga, and that order also came in today. Now, normally what I wanted to do when I first got the order in was to basically do the two packages. But unfortunately, the Pals package came damaged. But fortunately, how Pals sort of protects the books, they use this plastic covering to sort of secure the books, even if the package itself gets beat up in transit. So, yeah. So all of the books are in the Barnes & Noble box. So, yeah. So let's get going. I did not put the series in order. I will do that when I do the manga tower at the end. So let's get going. So the first batch will be from Pals because the bottom 6 are from Barnes & Noble. Everything else is from Pals, and I will make that distinction clear. So starting off with Pals, I have volume 12 of Delicious in Dungeon by Ryoko Kui. Delicious in Dungeon is a series set largely in an underground dungeon created and controlled by a being called the Mad Magician. Generations of adventurers have explored the dungeon, hoping to conquer it, and so far, while much of the dungeon has been explored, it hasn't been conquered. One of the latest groups of adventurers is a company led by a young man named Leos, who, alongside his magician sister Fallon, have brought together a group of adventurers, including Fallon's friend Martial and Chilchuk, a half-foot traps expert. During one of their deepest sort of expeditions into the dungeon, they are attacked by a red dragon and Fallon is eaten. And the rest of the party killed. On resurrection, 2 party members leave, leaving Leos, Martial, and Chilchuk to mount a rescue expedition with very little in the way of supplies. That's when they meet a dwarf named Shinchi, who has taken to living in the dungeon and off the dungeon. And this ignites in Leos a desire to experience what that would be like. He is deeply fascinated with monsters and wants to fully experience them, including eating them. And so Shinchi joins the party, and together the quartet live off the dungeon while trying to rescue Fallon. I am nearing, well, I have been nearing the end. This haul is the end. I now have all 14 volumes, which will be showing up here shortly. This is 12. Next is volume 10 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End by Kanehito Yamada and Tsukasa Abe. Frieren is a series about an elf magician named Frieren, who was part of a party that brought about the defeat of a great demon lord. This series follows Frieren's adventures 80 years later, as many of her companions from that first quest have subsequently died, and Frieren is looking for heaven. I have really enjoyed this series so far, and I'm looking forward to getting caught up, which I believe this haul does catch me up. Next is Dr. Stone, Volume 4 by Riichiro Inagaki and Boichi. Dr. Stone is a series set in the far future, 2,000 years after an event petrified the human population. One of the first people to become petrified is a kind of a mad scientist. I think his name is Senku. It's been a while since I read the series, but he's a teen genius who managed to become unpetrified and subsequently wants to recreate the world using science to make a better world. I really enjoyed the first 2 or 3 volumes. I don't remember how far I got. So I'm going to restart the series soon and hopefully continue on with it. But I really enjoyed what I read of the first bit of it. Next up is volume 20 of Bleach by Tite Kubo. Bleach is one of the great manga series. It's about a young man named Ichigo Kurosaki who can see ghosts. One day he sees a young woman named Urukia who is a Shinigami, a soul reaper, whose duty it is to patrol the human world to transition wayward souls to the Soul Society and to purify wayward souls that have become monstrous called hollows. One of these hollows is attacking Ichigo's family, and Urukia is there to stop it. The hollow injures Urukia, and in order to defeat the hollow, Urukia grants Ichigo her powers, turning Ichigo into a Soul Reaper. And after this hollow is defeated, Ichigo can't transfer the Soul Reaper powers back. Urukia is rendered powerless, and Ichigo is forced to take on Urukia's job of being the Shinigami for Karakura Town. I've been working my way through Bleach, and I am now in the 20s. Next up is volume 14 of Delicious in Dungeon by Ryoko Kui. This is the final volume. Next is volume 3 of Blue Exorcist by Kazue Kato. Blue Exorcist is a series about two twin boys. They are the sons of Satan. In a attempt to create a human demon hybrid for an unknown purpose. One of the twins inherits daddy's powers, while the other one does not. They are taken in by an orphanage, and eventually both twins are enrolled in an academy dedicated to defeating daddy's influence on the world. I picked up the first volume a few months ago, or maybe a year or so ago, and never continued on with it, even though I quite like what I've read of Blue Exorcist. So I'm now going to make an effort to collect the series more fully. And here is volume 13 of Delicious in Dungeon. That's in order. Next up is volume 10 of Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead by Haro Aso and Kotaro Takata. Zom 100 is a zombie apocalypse story about a young man named Akira who works as a wage slave, effectively a real life zombie at a very exploitative corporation, who finds freedom when a zombie apocalypse occurs. Akira quits his job and decides to embark on a bucket list of 100 things he wants to do before he becomes a zombie. As Akira crosses off items on his bucket list, he forms a very tight-knit friendship group with a reacquainted college friend, Kincho, as well as a young woman he met named, I keep forgetting her name, I think it's Shizuka, as well as a German tourist named Beatrix. I have so far loved the series, and I'm looking forward to reading more. And here is volume 11 of Delicious in Dungeon. Let's get these that way. This is volume 19 of Bleach. And volume 21 of Bleach. And volume 2 of Bleach, Blue Exorcist. Where are you at? This is volume 11 of Frieren. Next is volume 8 of Record of Ragnarok by Azychika, Shinya Umemura, and Takumi Fukui. Record of Ragnarok is a tournament series in which representatives of the heavens, so the various mythological pantheons, face off against selected champions of humanity to decide humanity's fate. Every 1,000 years, the gods come together in Congress to decide whether or not humanity deserves to live for another 1,000 years. At the latest meeting of this council, the gods have decided unanimously to wipe out humanity. The Valkyrie Brunhilde objects and invokes a tournament clause that gives humanity a chance to a fighting chance to survive against the gods, the Ragnarok tournament. So 13 gods will face off against 13 champions of humanity. And so far, I've been really enjoying the series, although I am quite firmly on the gods side compared to the humans. So yeah, I now have volume 8. As well as volume 9. Okay. So that wraps up my pals order. So that was my pals order. Let's move on to my Barnes and Noble. So starting off with, I picked up 3 volumes of Twin Star Exorcists by Yoshiaki Sukeno. Volumes 19, 20, and 21. Twin Star Exorcists is a series about 2 exorcists, Rokuro and Benio. Rokuro is naturally talented as an exorcist, but he, at the beginning of the series, really wants nothing to do with being an exorcist. He's gone through a very traumatic event. Benio is equally as skilled, as much of a prodigy, and she's much more proactive in her desire to be an exorcist. Their superiors inform the two that they are the Twin Star Exorcists, exorcists fated to marry and have a super exorcist child. Not wanting their child to have to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, Rokuro and Benio decide to step up and be super exorcists themselves, going through a number of trials and tribulations and lots of comedy. So yeah, really happy to have these next 3 volumes so that I can get to more Twin Star Exorcists in the new year. And finally, the final 3 books of this manga haul. Our return to Bleach by Tite Kubo. I also have volumes 22, 23, and 24. Now, my original plan was to mainly use Barnes and Noble PALs to collect Bleach so I can get them used. But unfortunately, at this point, what PALs has is a bit spotty, so I decided to pick up these 3 from Barnes and Noble, and I will kind of, because I like to get them sequentially so I can read them instead of having to wait. So anyway. So now it's time for the Manga Tower of Doom, because very likely all of these books are going to tip over. So let's start with Delicious in Dungeon, volumes 12, 13, and 14. Record of Ragnarok, 8 and 9. Zom 100, 10 and 11. Blue Star Exorcist, 2 and 3. Dr. Stone 4. Frieren, 10 and 11. Twin Star Exorcists, 19, 20, and 21. And finally, Bleach 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Now that's a manga haul. This should take me a while to read. Anyway, BookTube, I will be back tomorrow with some new videos. Until then, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.